leaving now, Miami. Just want to look at everything one last time. The balcony. Guess where I am? I'll have to show you the hotel room tour another time when I also clean up a little bit, but I got in last night and I just like, the plane landing was so beyond bizarre and I like felt so nauseous. I was feeling nauseous this morning too. Now I think we're good. I'm going to this like International Women's Day event with YouTube and Diane on Furstenberg, so I'm super excited for that. So this is the outfit. We got some boots, pants, a belt, did a little tuck in right here, this navy blue kind of top. You can't really see like the details, but it looks very chic. Earrings, sunglasses, whatever, and also with the jacket. Yes. Not croissant, a pastry. It was a pear almond. What, I don't know what it's called. Maybe it is croissant, and it was really good.
To learn from and share with each other, and to help, as Diane would say, for each other to be the women that we want.
Hello, look how beautiful, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful spot. And if you could see there on the side, you could see my husband's park, Little Island. Little Island was created by our foundation. It was his dream. Us in the family, we did everything we could to dissuade him. But by the time I was 27, I was fully in charge. And I became that woman because of a little dress. And because it was a little dress, the more confident I would get, my confidence went through the dress and went through millions of people, millions of women. So very early, I found myself as a conduit.
68 degrees. The office thermostat is always set to 68 degrees. This is considered the optimal workplace temperature, thoroughly tested and meticulously studied by and for men. So while the men in the office are cozy and comfortable, the women are cold. Yet still, every morning her pumps click, click, click in to clock in. Checkbooks aren't all that she balances. It's career, life, love, beauty, health, all teetering on stiletto heel. But in the boardroom, she's learned silence, because a man's confidence is her brattiness. When he throws a huge pitch, oh, it must be Shark Tank. But when she speaks her mind, oh, it must be her Shark Week. The stack of docs on her desk is not the largest load that she carries. No one sees past the pinstripes and pencil skirts how she click, click, clicks on her keyboard with her head down to pretend to not freeze. How she is forced to store her dissent in the circular file, or how HR...
When you were in meetings with investors and you were very clear about the fact that your business has purpose at the heart of it? What is the response?
Well, when I was in meetings with investors, I was rejected for many reasons, right? Yes, one may have been the mission, and our place, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, is a mission-driven kitchenware brand. We create beautiful, high-performance, non-toxic kitchenware, and the brand's called Our Place because it's all about building a bigger table around food. And when we went into meetings with investors, we got over 100 no's, and that was for many reasons, right? We all know the stats. Less than 2% of venture capital goes to women. That capital itself goes to women who have more access, and so there were many reasons why we got rejected, including being seen as niche, right?
It was rough. I mean, when I first started my YouTube channel, this was like 2009, so cosmetics were still orange or ashy or weren't dark enough, and a lot of my content was just stating the obvious. And so this was back when it wasn't trendy to be diverse or inclusive in beauty and cosmetics. And then it was almost like a switch was flipped, and all of a sudden it's what everyone was talking about. And so for years I did what I could with what I had.
The war has to stop, and if one thing I would ask you to do is go on change.org, sign a petition called Ceasefire in Sudan. That's, one click of a petition, that's an act of solidarity.
Thank you.
And I think the later in life it becomes, the more I really don't feel the pressure to prove anything to anyone. And I feel really free to just be myself and do what I want to do.
You bring life, so it's unbeatable. So we should be proud to be women.
Welcome back! Look at that view though. To give you guys some context, so this was like an event for International Women's Day, and it's all about DVF's message of being in charge, the power of kindness. And if you don't know like more about her message of being in charge, it's just owning who you are, baby. So it's like, when you really commit to yourselves, when you really like own who you are, like your life experiences, you just like make the best out of it, live your best life. And also, how like we all have our weaknesses and vulnerabilities, but like really owning up to that, and that becomes our strength instead. So this is like a message I guess I really resonate with, and something I feel like I hope I try to inspire as well in my own content, just like to live your best life, that kind of thing. So yeah, it really resonates. But first I do want to say, like, Diane von Furstenberg, DVF, is honestly such a funny person. I have notes on my phone, by the way. Every couple sentences she said, it's a punchline. And it's really funny. Honestly, I wish I got to say hi to her, because there was like that one opportunity. It was at the beginning of the event when it hadn't started, and there's like the line to go up the stairs to your seats and stuff like that, go up the rows. And she was sitting in one of the front rows, but I think she was like mid-conversation or something like that. But she was like still looking around, and I think I made eye contact with her, but I like just smiled. I should have waved, or like, if I didn't go up and talk to her, I should have at least waved. So I do regret that. If you are in those circumstances, like, just put yourself out there, like, be in charge, as the message says. And if there's any chance Diane's watching this, hi. Chloe Abrams was also there. She was the MC, and like she opened up the event for us. And what's so crazy, like, my content, all of this started when I got into like sustainable living and stuff like that. And one of the first videos I watched, or like very early on in my journey, I watched Chloe's video on clean energy, which was so educational, number one, but also really helped to like change my perspective, or just learn more, I guess. So I'm also gonna link that video down below if you're interested in watching that. I mean, there's so many different things to talk about, but I'm just gonna go through some key ones. So starting off with Diane, like, she talked about for being in charge. What I really liked is she said all the bad moments that you're going through today are going to be like are going to make for good stories for you to tell in the future. So she says, like, to all of her friends who's like going through any struggles, like she reminds them of that. And I find myself doing that, so I'm like, I'm like, oh, like this would be a good part in the documentary or something like that. Whatever struggles, whatever situations you might be going through, it's all gonna be good in the end. Everything works out. Trust the process. Enjoy the journey. And even now today, when I look back at some of my like lowest points, I'm just, 1, glad I made it out, and 2, proud, I guess, and 3, it's just like it makes the highs so much higher because the lows are low. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like almost kind of yin yang. For kindness, I really love what she said about this. She said kindness, generosity is like an investment you make and it compounds. Now, that is such a good comparison, I feel like. Such a good way to think about it. She talked about how kindness is a currency. So wherever you can in your life, try to be a little bit more kind. Another big one she talked about was women. This stuck out to me. Women are good at 2 things: solution and seduction. But then she said for seduction, it doesn't have to be like, you know, what you might be thinking of. It's just getting things done by making people think that is their idea. That was tea, and I feel like it's also very real, you know? People are always operating better when they think they're doing things on their own terms, even for myself. From Rashida Jones, who was most recently the president of MSNBC, but not anymore. And she was talking about moving, you know, this transition of her life where she has now left that position, and she's, you know, what I appreciate actually is like she was just talking, being very real about how like she is currently on that journey of figuring it out. And I think a lot of people don't show the journey itself, they show the result. She's just very transparent about that, and I appreciated having, because you know, everybody obviously is like super successful who spoke at the event, but it's also good to hear someone, like, obviously she is successful in and of herself, but it's also good to see someone being in the middle of the journey. And you know, it's a new journey, but it's still a middle of another journey. Everybody's on their own journey basically, and you're not alone, and that was really good to hear. She also said something, because it was International Women's Day. She's talking about be bold, put yourself out there. She said something along the lines of respect the sacrifice that your mother and grandmother made for you. That was just really inspiring and motivating, because I think sometimes we can be in our own heads a little bit. You know, when you're kind of living life for yourself, it can be a little whatever kind of, but then thinking about like your family, other people can help with a little motivation, you know what I'm saying? Okay, being down on the floor was not good for my knees. There was a YouTuber there that talked about building her channel. I think this would help with everyone. She used this metaphor about horses and always talking about investing yourself, feeding yourself. Think about it like 2 horses, like, and you need to bet on 2 horses in a race. There's one horse where the owner or whoever like doesn't really take care of the horse, just lets them be. And then there's a horse who the owner like walks them, trains them every day, feeds them really well, and just spends a lot of time taking care of the horse. Like, which horse are you gonna bet on? And that's the same thing with yourself. Like, you gotta take care of yourself, you gotta invest in yourself, bet on yourself. Okay, this one's more business minded. The co-founder of Our Place, like the kitchenware brand, was there. Her name is Shiza. I don't know exactly how to say it. In one of her rounds raising, because she is, you know, a female founder, she was like, and it's about kitchenware and stuff like this. She said, you know what, like, I'm just going to raise to women because like they understand it, and I'm a woman, they're a woman, like, you know, it might be better to get funding that way. Then she realized, actually no, because not, you know, the men are just gonna pitch to anybody who would, you know, be a potential investor. So she was like, why am I just limiting myself to women? Like, I should do the same thing where I just put myself in front of anybody who is interested. It's like, don't limit yourself, you know, put yourself out there in all those types of opportunities. There was another one by Lama, I'm not sure how to say her last name, but yeah, she was talking about of the war in Liberia. Honestly, I really have no context to this, I'm gonna be honest, but she was just talking about how her and a group of women, like 7 women, really like made change in the country. And I think she's a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, so that's huge. But her message was peace is not just the absence of war. And I feel this a lot because I just want peace so much, and there's so many wars going on in the world. It's insane. It's insane. But what she said is peace is not just the absence of war, which was, you know, would be how I would define it. Peace is the presence of everyone living in dignity. She said something along the lines of that. Obviously, I like had to paraphrase for the notes, but I just thought that makes so much sense. The last one I'll leave you with, because I don't want to yap too much, is from Miss Tina Knowles, who is like Beyonce's mom. Yeah, she gave such a real energy too. Like, it was so real and comforting. I felt like I could relate to her. When you say you can relate to Beyonce's mom, but like in the sense that she was talking about having to build up confidence, I definitely feel that too. I mean, I still feel so many moments of unconfidence, I guess. There are moments when I feel very confident, but then there's also moments where I don't, and I feel like very out of place. And you know, it's just weird, but hopefully you took away a thing or two from this as well. Hello you guys, and welcome to morning skincare. I wanted to do a little room tour as promised. So this is the main door. Obviously, when you come in, we have the bathroom, the bedroom. I love the bathroom. I'll show you in a second. Let me not forget this tea. I love it. It's obviously small, but it's actually, I think, decent size for New York. The bed was so comfortable. I loved it. And we have the city view right there. I booked the city view, or I think it's called urban view, because I don't know, I feel like if you're in New York, you need to have a view. What is that called? The Hudson Yards building, where they have like the walk right there. TV, I was watching YouTube here the first night to wind down. Oh, there was a little fortune cookie when we came in, or when I came in. I don't know why I said we. And this is the fortune that I got. I thought it was cute. A steamer, a hair dryer, and the bathroom, which is my favorite. I love the tiles here. It's just so nice and clean and so aesthetic. I would love to have this as my own bathroom. It's just so like not basic, but also like minimalistic. What is the style? Industrial? I don't really know. View, of course, here is amazing, but it's like kind of awkward because the toilet is right here, but the lighting in here is perfect. Oh my goodness, I love it. Why do I feel like a real estate agent? But it's just, I mean, it is. I guess what's missing is a desk. Obviously you can go to the lobby and stuff, but you know, it's just different having it in the room. And then there's no closet, like there's just a couple hangers. So, but I gotta check out now, head to the train station. Let's go. And it's not that cold at all. In fact, I think I'm sweating.
I'm teasing. No, I know. You know I did.
Attention Amtrak Acela passengers.